Thank you for this opportunity. I'm a retired physics professor from TCU. I followed the Race and Culture Task Force and their recommendations very carefully. And when the task force recommended the formation of an independent redistricting commission, I started investigating this. There were a group of us that were either on the task force or following it that thought this was an important concept, and we wanted to provide information about it and really to influence the city to reconsider it, to establish an independent commission. So what is an independent commission? It's a nonpartisan group that studies the distribution of people and forms their own recommended set of districts without considering all the communities of interest equally. And so basically the goal of an IRC is to ensure that all populations and interest groups are fairly represented on the council. Okay, is that better? Yes. In particular, the creation circumvents the packing and cracking of districts to manipulate the outcome of an election to assure the re-election of council members and artificially maintain the status quo, what we call gerrymandering. Today, Austin is the only Texas city that has an IRC, but it's catching on in other places. The city council pushed back on this concept and did not seriously consider it. A group of us who either served on or followed the Race and Culture Task Force tried to keep it alive. We communicated with folks in Austin who served on their IRC and with Austin city staff who liaised with it. They were very forthcoming and overall spoke highly of the concept and its implementation. Since for most citizens it's a new concept, we created a web page and Facebook page and made presentations at various citizens groups in Fort Worth to introduce the idea. We also had useful exchanges with a few Fort Worth council members and staff members. However, the pandemic effectively shut us down. When recently the city decided overwhelmingly not to pursue an IRC, we went back to the drawing board to consider how the previous city plan could be improved to create a more transparent and engaging process. We created a short documentary, which all of you received, to review the previous implementation and explain specifically how it could be improved. You also received our web pages, our web page address and Facebook page address, where you can see a lot more information on an independent redistricting council.
Mr. Miller, your 3 minutes is up.
My colleague Byrick Ellison is right here, and he's about to go over what our ideas were.
And that was signed up.
Thank you.
Yes, I will. Yeah. And if you'll give your name out to the council, to the committee.
My name is Byrick Ellison.
You gotta get right on top of that microphone.
Okay, let me start get my clock ready. All right. I'm Byrick Ellison, and I'm with Bruce, and I'm going to use my 3 minutes to discuss something that the city did in the last redistricting cycle that was actually kind of visionary. They invited residents of the city to draw their own maps using the GIS vendor software that the city used to draw maps. And they sent members of the staff out to do training to show people how to use the software and then set them loose. And the upshot was that they got back 9 citizen plans from individuals and from community organizations. There were 3, I'm sorry,
Yeah, hang on a second.
Okay, forget it, I'll just talk ahead. There were 3 plans that came in from the east side. There were a couple of plans from the north side, including the North Fort Worth Alliance Neighborhood Association. The United Hispanic Council turned in 3 plans. Let's advance to page 3. Yeah, that's good right there. And then I said the United Hispanic Council turned in 3 plans, and there was one from the Stop 6 Sunrise Edition Neighborhood Association. There were no plans that came in from the South Side residents or residents on the West Side. So it was a very self-selected pool of inputs. Let's see, at that point, the citizens were done, and the city just took those inputs, took inputs from the city council, and went to work and put together a single integrated plan, which went out to the Justice Department for review under the Voting Rights Act. That's fine. Well, actually, the one before that. All right, good. Well, actually, I'm done with that slide and wasting time. So if you look at the current districts that emerged out of that plan, let's go forward to those maps, the two slides. District 4 is one that stands out as being what happened to my map? There it is. Stands out as one that has some striking similarities to one of the citizens' plans. On the left is the old District 4, on the right is the current District 4, and the citizens' input is on the middle slide, middle map. And except for some smoothing that the staff did, these 2 plans closest to me are identical, same precincts, same boundaries. So the citizens actually did have some impact on our current districts. And that's one of the lessons that you can take away from that last redistricting cycle, is that citizens are eminently capable of taking on this task. They've done it, and at least in this instance. But there are some other lessons that we could learn from that experience as well that could make some improvements. For one thing, we need to increase the representation across the city if citizens are going to do this again. And one big thing that the city can do is to invite these mappers into the same room to work together collaboratively. Because instead of having these independent little maps, they could listen to one another's concerns about local, parochial districts and advocate for their own plans. I think some of these improvements, and they're in your handout, would create a system, a process that is more collaborative, more inclusive, more representational, and I think would be more satisfying to the citizens who participate in this. And I appreciate your taking the time to listen to me. There's more detail in the handout that you have in front of you. Thank you.